This podcast with hosts Jon Impemba and James Grande.
What's going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here, James Grande. Welcome to the Better Baseball MLB DFS Playbook live stream here, breaking down Thursday's 5-game main slate. Maybe, because there is weather concerns here, just like, unfortunately, James, we ran into the worst possible outcome with the Cleveland and Dodgers game all day long. It was looking like it was okay. And then even like the updated forecast was like, well, like there is a storm, but like if it hits, well, it will have problems, but it could miss. Might not be a problem. And that storm came directly over the stadium and caused a suspended game. I had Kershaw. Me and 27% of the field in my contest played Clayton Kershaw, expecting that game to be fine with the weather. Wasn't the case, unfortunately, but here we are again. Couple of games possibly with some weather concerns. We'll touch upon all of that as we break down today's slate, but that is certainly the notable headline, I think, of the day so far.
Dude, I had a Charlie Morton, Aaron Judge line that got me 100 fantasy points alone.
Yeah.
And then I had Mookie Betts and Chris Taylor and another
Mookie had 4 hits. It just all came today. So.
Yeah, yes. I wish they aggregated. I wish we paused the contest, the suspended contest. Just run it tomorrow. Run it the next day. That game's still playing. But John, I'm just on Orion's belt today. It's a great Thursday to be great here. It's just a great time to be alive.
Great time to be. Well, you didn't tell anybody yesterday, but it was your birthday. So happy belated birthday.
Thank
you, James.
Appreciate it. I did not tell anybody. That's correct.
How old are you now? 24?
No, it's as I tweeted, it's my Priest Holmes year, John.
Priest Holmes year.
For all
31?
for all those that understand the number game 31. But I was thinking of 32. Who is the most famous 32? I guess was Roy Halladay 32?
I don't even remember.
Walter Payton, he was 34, famous right?
32 athlete. Famous number 32
Shaquille.
Athletes.
Shaq? 34.
There you go.
Was Shaq 34 or 32?
Shaq was 32 in Phoenix.
Oh, then that doesn't count.
Apparently. Magic Johnson was 32 for a little bit.
Right.
He also wore another number, I think, 6 or something like that?
Yep, 6.
Jim Brown was 32.
Okay, I got plenty of 32s next year. Okay, great.
Sandy Koufax. Also,
okay, cool.
O.J. Simpson wore 32.
I will not be going O.J. Simpson.
Okay.
Because, Priest Holmes actually won me my first ever fantasy football championship. So I thought that was very, very poetic.
Jason Kidd wore 32 with the Suns.
Also, why are people wearing 32? See,
Roy
32.
Halladay was 32. Yeah.
Okay, so there are some good 32s. A lot of
Josh Hamilton
32s.
was 32.
As Mark comments here, Carl Malone was 32. Also not great. I will go with the best suited 32, not named Carl Malone.
It's true.
Or O.J. Simpson.
Fair enough. Anyways, so that aside here, before we do break into tonight's DraftKings main slate breakdown, I want to thank everybody who is coming in, rolling into the stream. If you're new, welcome. Feel free to get in chat, throw some questions to James and I. More than happy to help you all out today. If you haven't yet already liked and subscribed to the channel, please do so. Helps everything out immensely, gets the word out, get notifications turned on. We have a billion shows going on throughout the day here on the Fantasy Alarm social channels. You can be part of all that. But James, it is time for our RT Sports DFS Pick'em plays of the day. Go to rtsports.com/alarm. Promo code ALARM23. New users get a 100% deposit match with their first deposit. Take part in their DFS Pick'em contest or their fantasy football championship. Both best ball and seasonal leagues are out there. If you go play in their fantasy football championship, you have a chance at a $500,000 grand prize simply by playing some fantasy football this season. So check it all out there. Let's go ahead and give our favorite RT Sports DFS plays of the day. Taking a look at the board here today, James, where do we want to start things off tonight when it comes to our pick and plays?
We're headed down to the desert here, John, and too bad Brandon Belt doesn't play for Arizona. but I'm going to go with Tommy Pham,
Okay.
who is riding a 13-game hitting streak coming to this game. He's been elite against left-handed pitching all year. He's belted a lot of home runs against lefties this year as well. So I'm going to go Tommy Pham more than 7 fantasy points to kick us
Alrighty.
off here.
I like that one. I'm going to go into that the Minnesota-Texas game. You're in the Arizona game. I'm going to go with, oh man, you don't have the same plays that I have. That is sad. I'm looking at a Carlos Correa runs. You want to refresh? Give me a refresh. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm doing a little refresh like Subway did.
Added it. Little Carlos Correa run. There it is. More than half a run. Carlos Correa here going up against Andrew Heaney. We know Correa hitting lefties really well. We know the Twins offense really starting to roll against left-handed pitching of late as well. So give me the Correa more than half a run tonight.
I dig it. I think the Twins offense is pretty good tonight. We can run a 3-pack if you want.
What's your third? I have a third potentially. So let's see what yours is. Maybe we have a 4-pick play.
All right, well, let's run a 4-pick because I'm staying in this game. And I told you last night I was pretty confident in Pablo Lopez strikeouts when we did the MLB DFS show. I'm sticking with that. The Rangers have over a 30% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching over the last week. They have a 25% strikeout rate in the month of August. They've lost a bunch of games in a row. Their offense is reeling. And Pablo Lopez pitches deep into games no matter the outcome and strikes everybody out no matter the outcome. He has 7 or more strikeouts in 8 of his last 9 starts, John. I'm going to go Pablo Lopez more than 6.5.
I like that. I like that one a lot here. My last play here, and this one, we'll see, I guess. We'll see how this one pans out, but go to the White Sox-A's game. And I want to go with Andrew Benintendi less than 5.5 fantasy points here tonight.
Love it. I love this from you. I love this from you, honestly.
Now
really
Benny Biceps is hitting the ball a little bit well lately. He's got over 300 average in the last 10. But we went over Ken Waldichuk's numbers of late. They actually have been way less sucky than Ken Waldichuk has been pitching on the year. So I am interested here on Benintendi less than the 5.5 fantasy score.
Listen, we for someone, a show, mostly you, coining Ken Waldichuk has not sucked lately. He has been very serviceable. He may or may not have been in the MLB DFS value play article today that I wrote up. So I'm in. I was actually looking at, honestly, Andrew Vaughn, less than 1.5 total bases. Tim Anderson, less than 1.5 total bases. Now, I don't know if the bullpen's going to hold up for Oakland. I believe in Waldichuk. We'll see what happens after Waldichuk leaves the game. But I do like the less, because White Sox are getting a lot of love today. A ton. A lot of implied runs today. Vegas really likes them, and I feel like both you and I are kind of on the same.
Benintendi at 295 weighted on base percentage against left-handed pitching. Obviously, he's a left-handed hitter, so we don't go under too often. But Benintendi here, less than 5.5 feels good. So that's our 4-pick play here over on RT Sports. Again, 10x your money over there this evening. James, let's go over now to the main event, what everybody's tuning in for today. That is the DraftKings breakdown. Again, we have 5 games on the slate, but if you go look at the weather report, just giving the shout out to our guy, Kevin Roth does the work over at Roto Grinders, the DFS weatherman. Can't discriminate, right? You gotta go where the professionals are. He is a real weatherman. I will trust his weather reports. Oakland, Chicago. He's worried about this one in terms of a mid-game storm. Now, that means he's expecting a delay, but then a finish. So that could also play in our favor here for the Benintendi under, because if that game goes 5 and he only gets 2 ABs, then we're sitting pretty here. So that is a little bit of a concern, potentially, if that game does, in fact, have mid-game delay, because then we don't know if they decide to restart that game or not. And then we have Chicago-Pittsburgh, another one where this is a game that should start okay, but one that will have, again, some potential storms brewing later on. Now, as we're live right now, we're still waiting on more updates as we get closer to roster lock here. So make sure you stay tuned, tune in, and find out as much as you can about those two games when it comes to weather, because this 5-game slate could be a 3-game slate when it comes to the weather report today.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something we need to monitor, as we saw last night. Last night was the perfect indication of what happens when you're not paying attention to.
Well, we paid attention. We just were hoping that luck would flip on our edge, you know?
Yeah, and weather is what it is. Also, are we calling weather? Aren't they meteorologists?
Weatherman?
John, come on.
What I say?
It's 2023, dude. It's 2023.
Yeah, weather professionals.
They're professionals. Yeah.
Weather people. I don't know what we're allowed to say anymore, man. Just don't cancel me. You know. So.
True.
You know.
True.
So, anyways, true. Ross over there, the DFS weather man professional over at
meteorologist.
There you go.
Come on.
There we go. The Prince is in chat. Sup, the Prince FanDuel. We'll get you, my friend. We'll get you. Tyler in chat. Welcome.
We have Karl Malone fans. Didn't think we'd see that in 2023, the Karl Malone fans. But, you know, when you live in Utah.
Sky people, Mark. We're Sky people. We can't.
Sky. Yeah, Sky people. Yeah, Sky person.
Sure. All right. So that's the weather report. What do we got when we look at Vegas here, James? I don't have a fancy graphic for everybody today. What do we...
Oh, fancy graphic.
I've been making graphics for other shows that we'll be recording later tonight. Not for you, but for a different fantasy football program that I'll be on. So stay tuned here. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that show when it comes out. But yeah.
And as we approach 4K subs here on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel as well. So when we go over to covers, I'll speak slowly for you, Mark. Looking at you. Let's get things started. Oakland, Chicago. A lot of runs implied, as we kind of alluded to. The White Sox have a very high implied total. 10 implied runs in that game, which is interesting to see. Ken Waldichuk versus Jesse Schultans. Then we have a couple games with 9 in Chicago, Pittsburgh. Heavy lean on the under there. Also 9 implied runs in Toronto, Baltimore. Also kind of a heavy lean on the under. 9 implied runs in Cincinnati, Arizona. Depending on where you look, heavy lean on the under in that one. And then 8.5 implied Texas, Minnesota. The thing about Texas, Minnesota that I find interesting is that, just circling back to the weather, it's really hot in Minnesota. And there's wind blowing out. So it's just something to keep in mind. Wind blowing out to left field, and it's really hot. So usually just 2 things that lead to more offense.
Yeah,
so
100%. Get into pitching here then. You've obviously talked about liking Lopez. You've just also mentioned the weather. Don't think that's really deterring you. You got him, you have Steele, you have Kelly as your top 3 starters. You and I kind of went back and forth on how we'd rank them last night. How do you rank them today?
I think it's pretty close on, like, you can get to anyone. I'm pretty sure, like, you wouldn't debate that Pablo Lopez has the most upside just on a given slate. Like, we've seen the complete game shutout for 50 fantasy points and, like, all the double-digit strikeouts. It's obviously just, you know, the toughest spot overall, because Texas can turn it on, and Texas has been the best offense, or one of the 3 best offenses in baseball from start to finish, or start to now. I like the upside from Lopez. I like the safety of Merrill Kelly the most, though. I think Merrill Kelly, you know, has been really, really steady from just kind of start to finish this year. He has not given us double-digit. All but one start Merrill Kelly has made this year, he has not given us at least double-digit fantasy points, which, you know, you don't want 10 fantasy points from a guy who's 9,100. But at least, like, you pretty much are assured that Merrill Kelly is going to accrue you fantasy points. Pitching has been a very dark place of late. So, like, the safety of a guy who, you know, is having a career year, has had the highest strikeout upside of his career, has over a strikeout per inning, is facing a team in bottom 5 in strikeouts, or top 5 in strikeouts, I should say, against right-handed pitching. It's a really safe play for Merrill Kelly. So I like Lopez's ceiling the most, but I like Merrill Kelly's safety almost as much. So I would like put Steele safely third of those guys. And I don't necessarily care who you go, 1 or 2. Obviously, Kelly provides you a lot of savings if you go away from Pablo.
I would agree with you. King of Smath, we did talk a little bit about weather, but just to recap as you pop in, do we think Baltimore and Pittsburgh is going to be a problem? Pittsburgh, more of a problem, it seems like. Baltimore, again, Baltimore has another game where like there's a chance for a delay. We're kind of waiting on updates as we get closer to roster lock. Oakland, Chicago, Toronto, Baltimore, Chicago, Pittsburgh are the 3 games that have the biggest rain potential impact here tonight. So, it's going to be kind of a messy slate. It's almost a slate where I would say play light, throw a single entry dart into something, and just have a little fun tonight. Because rostership's going to be crazy on these small slates anyways. And if any of these games get banged out, then it's just going to be even crazier. So, again, by current analysis that we've looked at from meteorologist Kevin Roth, that he thinks Toronto Baltimore could be fine, but we're gonna have to wait and see an update before we sign off for tonight. I'll refresh, see if we get any new updates on that game for sure. So,
I agree.
Not a lot of pitching options on this slate, with it only being 5 games. So, like, we broke down the top tier, then you and I kind of just were like, I think Waldichuk might be the next best option. So, I hope this game plays sort of for that sake. I think you could go either pitcher maybe in this spot, Schultens or Waldichuk, possibly in play here. I mean, besides the last start against Colorado, Schultens was really good for 3 starts. So, pick your team, pick your side, and take the value if you're not double spending up at pitcher tonight.
Yeah, and to your point with the Schultens thing, it was in course too. So that's factored in to that equation as well. Look, Waldichuk is not getting a lot of ownership, and I'm okay with that because that means the White Sox are getting ownership. And we talked about it, like, on this slate, if the White Sox are what beat me, given how bad they are against left-handed pitching, I mean, they're 29th in OPS, they're 29th in WOBA, they're 29th in ISO, and they have a 32% strikeout rate against lefties in the month of August. John, that is every 3 batters they are striking out. Like, that's a lot. And you look at Waldichuk, recent, just kind of body of work since July 25th, which is when he kind of reverted into like a new formed pitcher. He has a 27% strikeout rate. I know obviously I'm cherry picking that time, right? But it's his last 5 outings. It's his last 5 outings that include Baltimore, a team that you and I play against lefties ad nauseum, Texas, and the Dodgers. And he had 5+ strikeouts in all 3 of those games, including 7 against Baltimore, who doesn't strike out, and Texas. Like, it's a much better spot against Chicago. And I get it. Like, there's weather concerns and, people are on the White Sox today, but it's a small slate.
I think they like the White Sox because, like, Lewis Robert is maybe one of the best players on the slate. So they're just like, Robert and Eloy, like, here we go against Waldichuk. But, numbers are numbers.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like, Mark asked me on the Better Sports Betting Show, he asked me and Servo if, like, Luis Robert would kill Ken Waldichuk. Like, yeah, there's a chance, like, Luis Robert goes Aaron Judge on us today and belts 3 home runs today, right? So I understand that. I'm just saying, outside of Luis Robert, it really hasn't been a scary offense whatsoever that Chicago's, and I'm willing to bet on a low-owned pitcher on a smaller slate more often than not. So I like Waldichuk. I don't mind the Schultens play. I will say, like, for what it's worth, we've talked about the Zach Geloff thing like a lot lately and how good he's been against right-handed pitching. So we have that. And Schultens has been a reverse splits pitcher this year. So, I'm not saying he just has to worry about Geloff, but it's like similar situations, I guess. And we have Aledmys Diaz, who, did we crack the lineup? No, you're not playing Aledmys Diaz.
No.
Shame on Oakland tonight. Just looking through this lineup, batting Tony Kemp 5th. What a missed opportunity where you could have a Ledmus Diaz. So, yeah, I mean, Schultens is, on the flip side of that, like kind of in a similar spot. The Oakland is playing, let's see, 5 righties, actually more than I figured they would, given Schultens' dominance against lefties this year. And how lefty heavy
Noda, Brown,
Oakland can
Kemp,
be.
and Lawrence Butler in there for the lefties.
Yeah, righties are what's giving him problems. So, like, I don't know. I could get to either pitcher in this game. Like, what do you make of this game having a 10 implied
I think
total?
they think the pitchers suck. I think that's what the...
Yeah, that's them just thinking the pitchers suck. But I'm a little skeptical there, especially because we like Waldichuk. But, like, the ownership is going towards Berrios. It's going towards Heaney. Schultens is being rostered. Kyle Gibson's getting some ownership. I know the Kyle Gibson whisper is in chat, so we have to ask Mark if he thinks Brendan Belt's going to hit a home run against him at any point today. But is there anything else? Like, who's your favorite 2 pitchers outside of the top 3? I know you went right to the 2 pitchers in that game. Is it just them?
I mean, you took away Merrill Kelly, who was my number 1 today. And then
I'm just saying, outside of the top 3 guys, like, is there?
I'm pitching Waldichuk. If I made 3 lineups today, I would have a Lopez Waldichuk, a Kelly Waldichuk, and a Lopez Kelly. That would be the 3 lineups that I would make today.
Just 66.7% of all those
Something
pitchers.
like that, yeah.
No, the math is mathing. Come on.
Sure. I believe it.
The math is mathing, John.
I'm trying to see. So Schultens' run prop is at 3.5, but it's minus 155 the under. Well, Waldichuk is 2.5, minus 150 on the over. So they both basically think that they're going to give up 3 runs apiece.
A lot of confidence.
Outs recorded. Waldichuk is minus 165 in the under 15.5 outs, while Schultens is minus 115 on the over. So they think Schultens likely in the better spot there to pitch longer. To get a win, Waldichuk is plus 200, while Schultens is plus 225. That don't make no damn sense.
This is like, make it make sense.
So all the numbers are worse for Waldichuk, but he's also got a better odds to win today. Who's the favorite in the game, I guess? Is the favorite in the game?
The White Sox.
Well, then I have no idea.
Yeah.
Basically,
the White Sox are implied 5.6 runs.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Let's see what the game props are. Game prop, team total. White Sox 4.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook at minus 140 on the over. A's are minus 120 in the under 4.5. So again, basically, I think they think of like if the A's are going to win, Waldichuk's getting the win, whereas if the White Sox win, Schultens doesn't necessarily get the win. I guess I don't know how to interpret that line. It doesn't make sense.
The A's have won 2 of Waldichuk's starts since July, and he only has one on his register.
I don't know.
So there's obviously, and I'm assuming. The Prince, I'm assuming you're laughing about Waldichuk here. Can you play him on FanDuel? I mean, I would probably just play like Merrill Kelly on FanDuel or Pablo Lopez, but like if you are spending down,
I mean, listen, the strikeout potential for Waldichuk in this matchup is decent, right?
Merrill Kelly, Pablo Lopez, Justin Steele are far and away the highest rostered pitchers on FanDuel. They're the only double-digit owned pitchers on FanDuel. Ken Waldichuk, 1% roster. Yeah, I'm not shocked that we're the only ones that like Waldichuk today. That will either be great or it'll be terrible. But pricing-wise on FanDuel, Schultens is... Oh, so you want to know, can you play Schultens on FanDuel? I mean, yeah. Schultens is 64, Waldichuk's 67. I think you can... I think both are in play. We kind of like the matchup for Waldichuk.
I think better. Where I'm at least going Waldichuk over Schultz. But
I
again,
am as well.
I've also called this guy Waldichuk suck for 3 months.
You have done that every single fifth
take
day.
that for what it's worth. Merrill Kelly's 10-2. Like, I would just play Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, he is the highest owned pitcher on both slates, so like that doesn't surprise me.
All right, let's go to catcher here. Again, thank you all for tuning in. Faisal, I saw your message here about Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's definitely one of the games to watch. I keep on frantically refreshing to see if we'll get any updates. We haven't yet, but Chicago-Pittsburgh is a game that could have storms later and cause an early end. Oakland-Chicago, also a game that could have a mid-game delay, which at that point, it's up to the gods. Are they going to play or are they going to call it? They could suspend it. Suspending games feels like I've never seen as many games suspended as I have than this year. So they could suspend that game, pick it up tomorrow, which doesn't do you any good here. And then Toronto-Baltimore also has some weather potential moving on around the models there. Again, I'm no meteorologist, just trusting the professionals. So it's something to watch for sure. But as you guys roll in here, again, we appreciate you all tuning in. If you haven't yet already liked and subbed to the channel, we would appreciate it here. Helps us out. And you get notifications wherever we go live. We do a bunch of shows throughout the day here at Fantasy Alarm. So it'd be great to get you guys included in all of that, especially as we hit the fantasy football season coming up. A lot of fantasy football content coming your way. Catcher here. What was your top catching play of the day?
Gabriel Moreno on a per dollar basis is my catcher of the day. $2,400. We know how well he's hit lefties all year, and he's really been good lately. I mean, hits in 4 of his last 5, multi-hit games in 3 of his last 4. We've even, John, power coming around a little bit too for Moreno. 2 home runs and a double over his last 5 games. So I would say on a per dollar basis, that was immediately where I went to. I think there's like interesting plays kind of littered throughout the position, but like nothing stood out as much as Moreno did.
I agree with you here. I think it's interesting that Corey Lee gets called up. He was the prospect that they got back from Houston in their trade with them. He's someone that was a hit first catcher. He was not a great defensive catcher by any stretch of the imagination. Gets him against Waldichuk at min price, hitting 9th if you're just looking to dart throw. We do have Yan Gomes against a lefty here for at least a little bit. I know Jackson's coming in, at some point in that game, but could see Yanni against a lefty for a little spot there. And then we've talked a lot about the power for Danny Jansen here. I know Gibson again, numbers, splits, kind of iffy, but small slate. Catcher's kind of bleak here.
Yeah, I could see Jansen belting one here. And Kyle Gibson's allowed over 2 home runs per 9 innings in the month of August. So I would the only other catcher I would add, John, is Shea Langoliers. And only because Schultz is a reverse splits pitcher, like righties have been what's given him fits. 197 ISO on the year, 368 WOBA. And when you look at Langoliers specifically this year, 189 ISO against right-handed pitching. And you know what? I don't even have to say specifically this year. Last year, 221 ISO against right-handed pitching in 100 plate appearance sample. So when you talk about Langoliers over the last 2 seasons, almost a 400 plate appearance sample, he's a 200 ISO against righties. And he's homered in 2 of 3 just to really bolster up my argument a little bit more. So Langoliers would be a guy I'd be willing to play like for a cheap home run. Just kind of like Danny Jansen. Like I feel like Jansen and Langoliers are the exact same play. Like you're playing them for the potential that they might hit you a home run.
I agree. Plus he's homered in 2 of the last 3, which is nice there as well. Of course, we know Barrios has trouble with lefties. Alley's a switch hitter. So if you feel like spinning all the way up, you could go there as well. First base position, we have Walker against a lefty and Williamson. That initially will stand out to me as a top play. Again, there's not a ton of great options. O'Hearn keeps hitting well. He's a lefty. Then you have the guys going against Waldichuk here. Vaughn has, again, been decent against lefties. Solano against Heaney's leading off. I mean, smaller player pool, so the talent isn't as great as we move our way through.
Yeah, what do you think of like the Cubs here today? Because like I'm just trying to like look through ownership, and they're pretty popular here, and Bellinger is not getting a lot of love, and I understand he's like really expensive and whatnot, but it's like most of the other Cubs that are
Yeah.
getting all the ownership, and like we've talked about,
Jackson has home run problems, right? So
yeah, we've talked about Andre Jackson. Like he can miss bats, and that's a little scary, but like Cody Bellinger is like the sixth highest rostered first baseman on a slate where his team is one of three with over 5 implied runs. I don't know. I don't want to. I love Christian Walker. In your call there, and I'm definitely interested in getting there. And Vladdy's fine as well, but I think the price for Bellinger is kind of scary, and I kind of like the spot, especially when he's been great against lefties. So when he faces Zastrinski for an at bat, he's great there. And then obviously the splits don't fall off against right-handers either.
yeah, I agree with you. I see through you asking no love for Heaney here. We talked about it a little bit. I think the last slate that we did here, but Minnesota lately as a team against left-handed pitching, really doing some damage. I know on the year their numbers don't look all that great, but if you look over the last month or so, 209 ISO, 326 weighted on base percentage. A number that they're just hitting a lot of home runs. So if you think Heaney can keep it in the park, then sure, I think there's some merit to that. But no mistake here, Minnesota is hitting for a lot of power against left-handed pitching. So it's either a swing and miss, 29% strikeout rate the last 2 weeks, going with a 210 ISO. So it's one or the other. And Heaney's has the propensity to do both things, either throw a shutout with a bunch of strikeouts or give up 5 home runs. So on a small slate, he's a GPP play anyway. So I don't dislike it there. Bellinger's interesting. Like you said, the Jackson thing, he gives up home runs. So if you want to be different tonight, for sure. Walker, you mentioned Belt, Vaughn O'Hearn, probably the spots I'm looking at though, outside of that top play.
Yeah, Brandon Belt, he's going to belt one tonight, right? I mean, he is definitely going to belt one tonight. Was he your home run call on the Better Sports Betting Show? He may or may not have been my Better Sports.
We'll give our home run call in a little bit here. Just the way you're talking just makes me think of this.
I think he's going to belt one tonight. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't know what else to say. I think he's just going to belt one. I hear what
you're saying. I don't know how many times you're going to. Are you sure? How many times I was just going to let it go, but if you needed me to react to it.
Let what go?
Second base. On the second base.
I would
viewers.
Just for
all your fault.
Just for lots of viewers. Just for context. Look, I was doing it for the money, okay? I'm a sellout, okay? Mark promised me something, and I followed through.
Is this a bad from the Better Sports Betting Show?
It was. Okay. I mean, we were on a Better Sports Betting Show, so of course there was bets made. Donovan Solano, 3,100 leading off if you are going against Andrew Heaney. And Ryan Noda is the most popular first baseman play. He's also had the propensity to belt some home runs throughout the year. So, he has a 418 slug, 11 home runs through 93 games. So you could potentially punt Noda or
like a
Solano.
Super Troopers scene where you're just trying to work it in.
I've never seen that movie.
You gotta go watch Super Troopers, man. Great movie. Not for children, but great movie.
Okay.
All right. Second base position then. We just going to Zach Geloff here, $5,700. Not just the.
We are.
All right. Just.
Yep. He's definitely the top. He's definitely the top second baseman. I think you could play Semien to be contrarian. You could play Nico Horner because Nico Horner is stealing bases at a crazy clip again, and you can play Ketel Marte because he's notoriously been good against lefties. But dude, this guy's numbers against righties are sick.
Yeah, and you mentioned that Cholens is the reverse split, so he's struggling against righties. So just again, don't be fooled by the 0 for 4 here. Our guy's been pretty good lately. So
yep.
Definitely in on him there. To your point, you can play these other guys. Polanco, Gattini's fine. If you want to get some value, I love me some Kevin Biggio. Buddy Kennedy's hitting second tonight at $2,100. Also, a little free square play there. So definitely different ways you could get to it here. Does that mean there's no Corbin Carroll tonight? Oh, Corbin Carroll hitting seventh. That's what it's come down to here. Hilarious.
It's not hilarious. It's not hilarious.
He's basically Jake McCarthy now. That's basically what it's come to because of that shoulder injury, basically. So
plus $3,000. He's plus $3,000 of Jake McCarthy.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Any other second baseman?
No, I don't think I'm going to be fooled by the Kennedy $2,100 play, but you could. I know you mentioned it, but
he has 2 hits and 16 ABs, but he is hitting second at $2,100. So
honestly, I'd rather punt Kevin Biggio for the off chance he belts one.
All right. Third base. Third base. Gunnar Henderson is $5,200. I can't do this anymore. $5,200. Gunner's there against Barrios. Candelario, I'm a big fan of his. He's to 47. He'll get probably Jackson at that point. I don't think some Scrabble name is gonna
It's a good try. It was a good effort.
I don't think Zastry is gonna get there for Candelario at 47. Hopefully he would get to face him, but that's fine. Lewis homered the other day. Kyle Farmer gets a lefty. Not terrible, but where are you going? Are you worried about Steele? I mean, I know this game's got weather problems, but would you go Brian Hayes current form or?
Yeah, dude, he's been awesome. He has been so good. And I know it's 290, so good, but just go through the box scores. Since the start of August, Brian Hayes has been a different player. A ton of multi-hit games. I mean, this guy was a very highly coveted prospect, and there was obviously some swing issues, and he's clearly figured that out in the month of August. So yeah, I mean, Justin Steele's a very good, very good pitcher. He's turned into he at one point, if you head over to fantasyland.com and you look at Justin Freeland's Cy Young and MVP awards every month, he has been consistently in the top 5 every release of that article from Vreeland. So and lefties have been the ones given him mostly the fits, but righties over the last 30 days, Steele hasn't been, been great. 354 WOBA allowed, and Brian Hayes now on the year, suddenly, we always talk about samples, you get more at bats, 204 ISO against lefties, 341 WOBA, just out of thin air. And that's because 273 ISO, 422 WOBA over the last 30 days. So yeah, I could play Brian Hayes. I could be sold there. Is he my favorite third baseman? No. I mean, I like Royce Lewis for 500 less. I really like Evan Longoria tonight, who's hitting 6th at $3,300. That's a name that I would throw in there to the names that you said. I mean, he's only been back for one game, 1 for 3 in that game. But what does Evan Longoria basically come to? Evan Longoria does one thing well, and that's hit left-handed pitching. He has a 273 ISO and a 378 WOBA against them. Arizona, for the struggles that they had been in the midst of, are winning every game again, and their offense is a large part of that. And, frankly, they are a very good offense against left-handed pitching. So everyone you mentioned, I'm sprinkling a lot of Longo at 3,200 or 3,300
in there. Moving on over to shortstop. We obviously, again, have some matchups that we can target, some guys we talked about. I liked Correa, obviously, with our RT Sports Pick'em for the run. I would have no problem going back to him there. He went 1 for 3 with a run, a walk, and an RBI last night. So Correa at 46 in the mid-tier works for me if you're not looking to spend up for Seager or an Ellie tonight. 2 tough spots for both of them. Bichette, mildly interesting at 54. Does it feel like another slate where no one's playing Toronto to you?
Yeah. So definitely another slate that no one's playing Toronto. And look, I get it because think about it last night. Like we sat here and talked about Dean Creamer. And Dean Creamer's fired 6 scoreless against Toronto, right? And they have Bichette back, and this offense should be better. They aren't. But Kyle Gibson is having a very bad month. He's not throwing strikes. He's allowing home runs, like 6 walks per 9, 2 home runs per 9 in the month of August. And Toronto, John, is the, 5th highest roster team out of 10. And when you look at like talent just in general, I mean, how many playoff teams are even on this slate? Texas, Baltimore?
How many teams on this slate have scored 20 runs in a game? Maybe one.
Texas?
Maybe one.
Texas?
Have the Cubs? Maybe 2? Maybe 2?
Maybe. Oh, the Cubs. The Cubs did. They had that 3-game stretch against the Reds, right? Where they scored like a jillion runs.
Oh yeah, 2 weeks ago.
During
after the deadline.
The Candelario. Yeah. So like, yeah. And to be fair to Bo Bichette, he's obviously only been back for a few games. He's been one of the best players against righties all year. He has a 168 ISO. He has a 353 WOBA. And he was really good against righties last year. 174 ISO, 352 WOBA. I'll say, it's interesting. Gibson's definitely been worse against lefties, no doubt. And Toronto, third best lefty on their team is Kevin Biggio. That's their third best lefty. And usually Kevin Biggio probably doesn't rate out as many teams' third best lefty. He might be like the White Sox second best lefty if he played for Chicago right now, to give your boys some love. But I do think the Blue Jays are quite interesting on a 5-game slate when Kyle Gibson's been so bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of where I'm just looking for on a small slate to figure out, what can I do to be different here? So, I mean, that could certainly be the case. 176 ISO for Kevin this year against righties. Basically all he doesn't hit for an average, so don't even bother looking.
No.
But 320 WOBA is ridiculously good for him personally. So, I'm with you on that one. Any other shortstops?
Any other shortstops? I mean, Gunnar is kind of feeling a little disrespected in terms of ownership. Sure. And we've talked about this a lot. Like when Gunnar's going, he's really going. He's a very streaky player, as we've seen from start to finish kind of this year. So I like Gunnar, and I know you mentioned him, but the White Sox guys, I'm just going to say it, they're getting ownership. I'm a little confused as to why. I get it. Waldchuk's been bad, but Andrus has been good, and we are in Elvis Andrus season, John. He does turn the page in August every year, so there's that. But I'd rather go back to the Waldchuk. Sure.
Outfielders, then we discussed Bellinger at first. We talked about Carroll being all the way down to 7th now. Lewis Robert, but we like Waldchuk here. When we broke this down this morning, we didn't really like much of the top half of the outfield. Basically, there's nobody we had much interest in playing.
I would say if you are not playing Waldchuk, you have Luis Robert in your lineup. Is that that's fair, right?
That's why I was saying, I feel like nobody's playing Waldchuk because everybody goes to the outfield and they're like, "Oh, this sucks. Who am I playing?" You're like, "Well, right. at least Robert's got a lefty," and then they go there, right? So,
right, yeah, he is the highest rostered outfielder. Let's see if he's just he is the highest rostered position player today in general. The White Sox make up 3 of the top 4 position players in terms of ownership, and Oakland and the White Sox, this game makes up every of the top 10, all top 10 of ownership. So you're not playing Waldchuk. I think you do want to get Luis Robert in because he's been so good against left-handed pitching. But you're right. It is a kind of a crappy 5K. You mentioned Bellinger. I think that's great. I know Corbin Carroll's been bad. There has been signs of life here, John. 3 multi-hit games over his last 4. We know the stolen base. And you know what? I won't even include this first Texas game because he didn't start. So his last 3 starts, he had multiple hits in, right? Yeah. 324 average over that span. I know he's been bad against lefties.
He hasn't homered since July 23rd, a month.
Well, you know what? Maybe I'm changing my home run call today.
Okay. You think he breaks it out tonight?
He might belt one tonight, John. I don't know. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say Corbin Carroll is my favorite play, but he was okay against lefties in a small sample last year. He has been better overall lately. 338 WOBA against lefties over the last 30 days too. So, for what it's worth, I'd be willing to get there. I am heavily invested in Arizona to begin with, so why not play their best player even though he's hitting 7th? Other than that, it's Luis Robert, or I'm playing Springer and then just figuring out. We are playing Blue Jays.
Lourdes at 42.
Sure. Rooker 41. Rooker in the split.
Pham.
Yes, Tommy Pham is one of my favorite plays today for sure.
I mean,
all the Cubs are getting ownership.
Yeah, so I said the Cubs are probably popular because they worry about the home run from Jackson, for sure. Oh man, it's kind of a Luplow hitting 3rd at 26. I'll unlock some stuff for your lineups here tonight. That's it. That's it. There's not a lot here.
You could play Lawrence Butler if you're, again, I know he's a lefty. You could play Michael Taylor, John. I think that would be a strong value. Michael Taylor's been all bite versus left-handed pitching. It's been talk about a guy who was definitely not projected to be what he is now, but he's just hitting for power against lefties. 264 ISO leads the team. He also leads the team with a 34% strikeout rate against lefties. So it's feast or famine.
He always hit lefty. Even with Washington, he hit lefty as well. So
yeah, it's very feast or famine. But again, he has 17 bombs, and I guess half of them are against lefties, despite a much smaller sample. I would get to some Michael A. Taylor here at 2,400.
Sure. All right, that's it for the outfield. Let's go to the Call of Fame here. Let's just get it over with, James. Give everybody your home run call this evening.
I don't get it. What do you mean get it over with? That's rude. You don't even respect that Brandon Belt is gonna belt one this evening, John?
Fantastic.
You could have went with Fantastic and then went Tommy Pham as your home run call.
I could have, but I
missed opportunity.
That's not my home run call today. So
okay.
So you're going Brandon Belt. What was his odds to homer today?
Plus 500.
Plus 500. Not bad. My home run call today, 10. What was the bet that you and Mark had? That's the question I wanted to know. My home run call today, we're going Christian Walker, $5,200, going up against lefty at home. That's where I'm at. Mitchell Tyler in here. Do we like Henderson as one-off? We do like Henderson as one-off. We like lefties against Berrios. I think Baltimore, again, could be a little bit of a sneaky play today. You go O'Hearn, you go Adley, you go Henderson. Santander actually homered last night. We've talked about that.
He hit two. He hit two last night.
Santander's actually, though the last couple of years better against lefties, this year he's been hitting righties better from the left side of the plate. So I do, you know me. I love playing Baltimore in general. So if you wanted to get there, you certainly could do it here this evening. What's your top stack?
I'm going to go Arizona. Arizona is my favorite. They're the Actually, this is what I'll do. I'll go Arizona. I'll go Arizona as my top stack.
Okay. I'm going to go with give me Minnesota today.
Okay. Love that.
Minnesota against Heaney. The fact that it's, like you mentioned, it's hot, it's humid, and the wind's blowing out. We talked about the 200 ISO the last 30, last 14 for Minnesota here. They have some guys that can put the ball in the stands. We'll attack Heaney there tonight. What's your value stack?
I don't know if it's value. I'll go contrarian stack today. I'm going to go with the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are a pretty good stack against Kyle Gibson and the struggles that Kyle Gibson's had recently.
Okay. I'll go opposite of you. I'll go Baltimore.
Okay. I think that game is – I think that game's pretty sneaky in general. So
just about the weather. Just got to hope that game plays full. Big question mark on today's slate. What's your value play of the night? Value play of the night,
I'm throwing up the wall to Chuck. He's going to be chucking up some zeros tonight, John.
Okay. I'm going to go Kevin Biggio. Running out Kevin tonight for my value play. Homer's off Gibson. See if he gets it done for us.
Old strategy, Cotton. Let's
see if he gets it done for us here. All right, let's build a line. We've got a couple minutes left on the show. Thanks to all of you who are tuned in. If you're new, please like and subscribe. Get notifications whenever we go live. You can catch our podcast in the morning. Catch us live at 5 o'clock Eastern each day. And then we have a plethora of fantasy football shows throughout the day, leading you into fantasy football season. So join the channel today. Get us over that 4,000 subscriber mark. We're closing in. What did you say? We're like 25 away?
Yeah, very, very close. I think we were 30 last I looked, but we can give a live update to the folks.
Help us push us over the edge there.
The channel has been less than 20 away, John.
Less than 20 away. Well, then let's get us there. We're almost to 4K. Get us to 4K here. Get that milestone. All right, let's build our lineup here. We're plugging Waldichuk. And Lopez, I guess, or Kelly?
No, let's go Merrill Kelly.
All right.
Let's go Merrill Kelly here.
Catcher, Moreno?
We have so much money. This is why we have
I'll go Adley. I will happily play Baltimore here. So you don't need to pull my leg.
Well, let's at first, are we going to play with Christian Walker?
No, we're going
to play True.
Your home run call.
He's going to belt one.
Yeah. I mean, I know
but you also went Christian Walker.
Yeah, but we need to save some money. So second base, we were in on Geloff here.
Yep.
Third base.
Gunnar, Royce Lewis.
Yeah, Royce Lewis looks good to me. It's Heaney, 4K. Outfield, we had a couple of values. We can play Cavan.
Tommy Pham, 39.
Pham. Would you rather... Yeah, let's go Pham. Pham's fine. Pham, and then a 53. Not a lot.
Springer Dinger.
Yeah, sure.
Run a three-man Toronto.
Lourdes. Let's go Lourdes.
Okay, I like that too.
I like that better. That gives us $1,100 left over. Where can we improve? Maybe we can improve from Cavan. 36. 36 gets Saya. You want to do Saya?
Yeah, say what you need to say.
Or a Hearn. 31.
Saya's definitely been better form lately. He's been pretty good.
Okay, I'm good with Saya. You like that? All right. So there's our example lineup for this evening. Waldichuk, Kelly, Adley, Belt, Geloff, Lewis, Henderson, Suzuki, Pham, and Gurriel. We got a little two-man Diamondbacks. We got a one-off Minnesota. Got a couple of Orioles in the lineup. One off Geloff. One off Toronto and Cub. 5-game slate. Watch the weather, everybody, here tonight. It's going to be an impact on what goes down. I still don't see any recent updates, so stick with this in the Discord if you're not yet already a Fantasy Alarm member. Now is your time to do so here. Got a lot of great things going on. You can scan the QR code on the screen. You can click the link in the description here. You get a 7-day free trial as well when you sign up. So at the end of the 7 days, if you don't like it, you can just cancel. Get access to all of our premium content, our premium tools, our lineup generator, our ownership projections, our premium Discord. We have live access to myself, James Grande, Howard Bender, the whole Fantasy Alarm team are in those premium channels answering your questions. Also, fantasy football season's here. You get you get access to the Fantasy Football Draft Guide and Fantasy Football Cheat Sheet for free as part of the All-Pro package as well. If you want to go annual right now, you can save 40% off the month-to-month price to buy for a year. So basically, at this point, you get 6 months worth of content, or you get a full year for the cost of 6 months of the month-to-month subscription. So hard to really beat that. James and I also do our NBA DFS coverage. So if you like NBA DFS, you get to see these two beautiful faces each and every day as well, starting in late October. Final questions in the chat, everybody. Mike, thank you, sir. Mitchell, thank you for joining us. Faisal, Mark, I see through you, to Prince, everybody, Tyler, King of Smack, all of you guys joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Big slate on Friday. Good luck tonight, everybody. We will catch you all later.